Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to my very first video. I'm gonna keep this intro short because this craft is kind of long. My name's Sarah, I like to make things, I run an Etsy shop, I'm a stained glass artist, my favorite color is pink, and I live in New Orleans, Louisiana. So if you hear thunder, that's totally normal. One of my favorite things to do is to teach people how to make stuff, and since quarantine has started, no one has been able to come over to learn. So that's why I am making this YouTube channel. For today's project, we're gonna be making these super cool, super pretty crystal pendants that you can make into necklaces or earrings. They make really cool gifts because you can make them out of just about any kind of natural thing, and they look really impressive. This is kind of an intermediate craft and it has a lot of really specialized supplies, but don't be intimidated, it's way easier than it looks. So the first thing we're gonna go over is the supplies you will need for this project. I have a little selection of stuff here. I have this geode, which is pink. I have this really cool angel aura. I don't know if you can see the different colors, and my dog is whining at the door. Look at that one. I got this crystal, and I got, oh, I was still holding it. I got this little rose quartz. I also, if you are a creepy girl, like I am, this works on bones. So we're also gonna be making a bone necklace because it's almost Halloween time, so it seems appropriate. The next thing you're gonna need is copper foil. This is used for stained glass, which I'm a stained glass artist, so I have all of my stained glass stuff. This particular foil is copper-backed copper foil, so when you unstick it, it's copper on that side too. This also comes in silver or black back copper foil. So if you're using a crystal that's kind of clear and you'll be able to see the foil through the crystal, you might want to get silver because your solder is going to be silver. And you will need, I use this to press down foil when I make stained glass, so it's kind of like chewed up. You don't need one of these. You can use like the back of a butter knife, or I don't know, the side of a pencil. You can use your fingernail. This is just for like pressing down the foil to make sure it's really, really stuck on. You'll also need a little pair of scissors, but everyone has scissors. The next thing you'll need is, this is called a third hand, and it's for holding your crystals because they are going to be very, very hot. And it has little pinchies. If your crystal is too big for these little pinchy hands, you might need to find another way to prop it up or lay it down. Flux. This is Flux. This tells the solder where it can flow. This is a really big bottle. If you're not going to be making a ton of stained glass, you don't need this much. I keep it in a little cup with a little brush. You can use a paintbrush, you can use a Q-tip. Don't use your hands. This stuff is really sticky and gross and not good. You will need solder. You will need lead-free solder because if someone's wearing this as a necklace or you're gifting it to someone, you don't want lead rubbing up against them. My normal stained glass solder has lead in it, so that I had to like buy this specially. You will need jump rings. I have a little variety of jump rings. I got these on Amazon, they were super cheap. I like having a variety of them just because I do a lot of different size projects. If you don't want to buy a multi-pack, you could go to Michael's and buy just a little bag for a couple bucks. You also need pliers or tweezers or some sort of pinchy apparatus to hold your jump rings. The most intimidating thing you will need for this project is a soldering iron. It's really dirty. This is my soldering iron. It comes with this box to control the temperature, and it comes with this stand. This is kind of an expensive one, and you do not need one that's this expensive if you're just going to be making little crystal pendants. The last thing you'll need that isn't necessary but is highly suggested are safety glasses. I have found that sometimes when you solder and there's too much flux, it boils and it pops, and I've gotten it in my eye and it sucks and you can go blind. So, safety glasses. Hey, we're down here now. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your foil, and we'll start off with this crystal since it's sort of big and easy to see. Basically what you're gonna do is make a little cap around the top of it with the foil. So you're gonna stick it on and you're gonna wrap it. And you wanna keep tension on the foil so you get a good connection. And you'll wrap and you'll squish and wrap, 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 wrap. And then when you've gotten it to a good spot, flip it. So see how I'm sort of making a little end cap? And it doesn't matter if it's like crinkly or anything, you just want to make sure there's no air pockets. So anywhere this foil is on your crystal is where the solder will stick to. And if I'm doing the very tip, I'll cut off like little pieces of foil and just stick them on and squish them down. So. And once you have a cap that you're happy with, you're gonna take your little presser tool and you're just gonna use the end of it to really press that down. I'm sorry if you can hear my neighbors yelling. I have some rowdy neighbors, but they're fun. I like them. So when you're doing this, you want to take your time and really, really press it down like as well as you possibly can. You can't really overdo this step because if it's not completely stuck to the crystal, once the solder is on there, it'll just pop off and it'll be super annoying. So there we have focus. You can sort of tell it looks different since I've pressed it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do these other two crystals. Okay, there are our three crystals. I decided to do just little rings on these two because they're faceted and I don't know, I thought they'd look better that way. So let's set those there. Next, we're gonna do this geode. So instead of doing a cap on this geode, we're gonna go around the edge. And this is more closely related to like how you would foil a piece of glass if you were doing stained glass. So you're gonna take your foil and you're gonna press it on the edge like that and try to get it as centered as you can. And when you're wrapping, you wanna like keep this tight and then sort of roll it while pressing so you get, oh, and my foil ripped. So if your foil rips, don't worry, you can just pick up right where you left off. I overlap a little bit just because, oh, and now it's not sticking. So I'll just go back and press that down. And with these, I like to sort of pinch the edges to get the foil to overlap the edges, like that. And we'll just continue along. This one's easy because it has a flat edge and a curved edge. If you have something that curves inward, you'll need to take your finger and sort of like help it along. We'll go through and we'll pinch, pinch, pinch. So that's what it looks like. And we'll take our tool. And sometimes if you press too hard, the foil will rip a little bit, like it did right there. And so I'm just gonna take another little piece. I'm gonna cover it because that will show when we solder it. Just do that and press it down. And there is our foiled geode. So when I do something like this, I like to pick which side will be the front and which will be the back. This will be the back because it's less evenly foiled, but okay. Things right here. Okay, now let's do this job up. I want to wrap foil pretty much from here up, but I might leave like this little nub piece out. We will see. So if you have any weird little spaces like right here or right here, I like to take little tiny pieces and just do that and like fold them over. Sometimes it's easier to use a bunch of little pieces than to try and use a bunch of long pieces. There we have our beautiful foiled little, I think it's a raccoon, raccoon Java. So now let's set up to start soldering. Okay, so here's our little setup. We got our third hand with our pinchies, which I don't know if you can actually see. Pinch, pinch. I have my geode and my bones, my crystals, and my soldering iron is heating up to 700 degrees. It's over there. If your soldering iron has a sponge, you'll want to make sure that that sponge is wet so you can wipe off your extra solder. Okay, so I'm gonna start out with this geode. Okay, so the basic order of operations here is you're gonna take your flux and you're gonna flux all of your copper foil. On the front, on the back, on the sides, all sides. And you do not need very much flux at all, just a little bit will do. So if you haven't already done so, put on your safety glasses. Okay, so once your soldering iron gets up to temperature, you're gonna take it. You're going to take your solder and you're just going to touch it to the end of your solder, and you'll get a little bead of molten metal on there. And when you touch it to your copper foil that's been fluxed, it will completely encase the copper foil. If there are any places where your solder isn't flowing, it means that you didn't flux it. I will also mention that you should do this in a really well ventilated area because the fumes from the flux are kind of gross. And if you have any beads of solder, you can just run your iron, melt it and run your iron around, and it'll melt it and put it all over. And I like to move the arm around and make sure I got everywhere. And that looks good. Okay, now for the hardest part of this whole thing is adding a jump ring. I'm gonna see if I can do this so you can see it. Okay. You're gonna take your jump ring and you're gonna flux it, and you're also gonna flux your crystal. You're gonna pick it up opposite of where the jump ring's opening is, because that's where we want the bead of solder so it won't like open. Take your jump ring, get a little bead of solder, hold that jump ring on your crystal where you want it, and just lightly tap your solder. I like to go back with another big dollop after it's already secure and just boop. And again, this will take practice because you're gonna melt your jump rings off a bunch of times before it actually stays. So it needs to be cleaned up, but there's our little jump ring. It looks kind of crazy, but that's okay. It's handmade. So this one's a little bit too big, so I'm gonna do this one laying flat. time for our jawbone. And just as we're finishing up this craft, a big storm is moving in and there's a lot of thunder happening outside. But here's one of my finished pendants. I just threw a little link of chain on it. Here's how our geode turned out. And here are the other ones. Like I said before, you can do this project with pretty much any kind of crystal or rock or geode and make really cool stuff out of them. If you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel if you want to see more crafty things. If you try this, let me know. If you have suggestions for future crafts, you can drop them in the comments down below. And until next time, bye.